was a loner, and I was an only child. I was a bit of a loner, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing. I loved being by myself. I loved playing tennis, and I loved listening to my music. I came to Los Angeles in 1980 to actually play tennis. Ville Vilas was a big hero. Like everybody else in Denmark, they were all fans of Björn Borg. I always thought Ville Vilas was the coolest. But anyway, I was ranked in the top 10 in Denmark for a couple of years when I was 14, 15, 16. And I landed in Los Angeles to go to a very good high school with a very good tennis team. And I actually did not qualify for the tennis team at this high school. I wasn't one of the 7 best tennis players at this high school. That's a true story. So that kind of knocked the wind out of my sails, as they say. That made me kind of a little pissed off with tennis. So in the space of about 6 months, I walked away from tennis and I embraced my true love, which was music. And so I had always been infatuated with the drums, and I wanted to put a band together and be like my favorite bands from England at the time, like Iron Maiden and Motorhead and Def Leppard and Saxon and so on. And so I put some advertisements in some newspapers, and a guy named James Hetfield called me a little while later. Me and him met up, and now I'm sitting here doing an interview for Argentinian television 27 years later. So I guess something worked out. As you know, these stories, they take on legends of their own, obviously, but I do recall pretty specifically the phone rang at my house there, and this guy started talking, and he talked very fast, and he had a lot to say, and he was talking about how much equipment he had, and he had his own photographer and his own group of fans, and it was like one of those, like, whoa. But he sounded interesting, and he sounded passionate, and we met up with him, and he was way more together on all fronts than me and James were. Me and James were kind of dorks at the time. Some could argue we still are, but we were definitely major dorks at the time. And anyway, but Dave Mustaine had it together, and then we asked if he would join us, or and his talent and his passion fitted. I mean, he was certainly, probably even more talent than any of us, but his passion, he was very into it. And he was actually quite into the metal stuff. He didn't know a lot of it, but the metal stuff that we played for him, he was really into. We got Ron, James's roommate, was our bass player, and off we went and formed Metallica, or, did Metallica in Los Angeles for the first year there. It was a great time. I mean, just, having your own record, it was stuff that you dreamed of, And Johnny C, got us out to New York, and they were crazy days. I was like 18 years old or something. I mean, it's pretty crazy to be kind of traveling around like that, 18, 19 years old, getting drunk, meeting girls for the first time, having a record, it's pretty nutty times. So it was definitely a lot of fun, and then kind of things just kind of kept progressing on a pretty slowly, pace from there. He just came from a very different background. He was much more educated than we were, and had studied musical, technical, he studied classical music, and he was much more adept with all that stuff than we were. I mean, we just learned from listening to records, and we're pretty much self-taught. Cliff was a whole different thing, and he had a set of very different influences and inspirations and so on than we did. So it was really, when him and Kurt joined within 3 months of each other, it was a pretty special time there, because there was a lot of new elements and new dynamics being added to the Metallica sound, it's hard for me to single any of those moments out more and elevate them above others. To me, it's been one long evolving journey. I know that there's been some hits and some misses and so on, but it's difficult for me to embrace one particular album more so than another one. I mean, certainly those records were very progressive, and they were very, you know, we were pushing the limits a lot and kept trying to push the limits so far, actually, that after the Injustice for All album, we sort of felt that maybe we pushed it actually a little too far. And with the Black album, which was the one that came after that, we sort of tried to hone it back in a little bit and kind of slow it down a little bit and maybe be a little bit shorter songs and a little less progressive and a little less complicated and so on. So, you know, the great thing about the success of being in this band and so on is that there's been this, I mean, there's always been a tremendous amount of freedom in Metallica and that's the thing I treasure the most about Metallica is that we always have felt that we could sort of pretty much go wherever we wanted and do whatever we wanted at any given time. So it's, you know, certainly we were pushing the boundaries, you know, on those records a lot, and obviously I'm very, very proud of those records. But I'm proud of all the records, because if I weren't proud of it, I wouldn't put it out, you know, so we've always done the best we could. When you're 22 years old, like we were at that time, I mean, you're not equipped to deal with that or to fully comprehend it or to understand it. So it was, that was just a complete mind fuck. And so we did the only thing that we thought was right, which was just to continue. I don't know if something like that would have happened now. I don't know, knock on wood here. I don't know what would happen, but when you're 22 years old and you got this kind of singular vision and love life, there was nothing else to do other than just continue. I mean, we hardly got time to take a deep breath. I mean, I think we were back on the road again, like 6 weeks later. Now it takes me 6 weeks to finish my breakfast. I mean, it's pretty crazy when you think about it. But we were back in Japan with Jason Newsted, I think 6 weeks later. It's crazy. It was great. I mean, there were exciting times. I mean, you know, we came up with an idea, made a video, and it became #1 on TV for every day for the whole spring of 1989. And the Injustice for All album, I mean, it was exciting. It's pretty amazing that a record that sounds like that could sell that many copies. And it was pretty amazing that a band that produces a record like that could actually, this was the first time going out and playing arenas in the United States. Go out and then play, you know, and then actually start selling out. I remember our manager was saying, you know, you're gonna go out on tour and we're gonna put you into the same arenas that like Iron Maiden and the Scorpions play. I was like, what, are you crazy? I mean, look at us, come on, man. I mean, no, listen to us. Nobody's gonna show up for this crap. And people actually did. And that was also kind of a mind fuck. But it was an exciting time, you know. Guns N' Roses was just happening, and there was a whole kind of thing, you know, the groundwork was being laid for the Seattle stuff, and, you know, Kurt Cobain was knocking on the door, and so it was an exciting time, you know. Well, that was actually, I mean, like I said, but after the Justice album, we felt that we kind of pushed the progressive side of Metallica as far as it could go. I mean, there was no place else to go. It wasn't filling anymore, and it wasn't challenging. So we kind of went in the other direction, which was to try to simplify, like you were saying, and listened a lot to the Rolling Stones and AC/DC records, and just tried to make things a little simpler and a little more groove-oriented, and that was a lot of fun. It was a great time, and we loved doing that. And Bob Rock came along and helped us out with that whole side of it. So that was also an exciting time. It was really fun to be doing something that was kind of fresh and new, you know. I remember standing in my laundry room by my washing machine on the phone in there, having a conversation with him, and I think I was like, I'm too close to this to pick what should go on what. And I think that the songs that ended up on Load were the songs that were the furthest along. It wasn't like better or heavier or this or that. It was just the songs. It was such a monumental task to try to do this that, and we got so sick of it after a while that, and then we got offered the Lollapalooza tour in the summer of 1996. It was just like, let's get the fuck out of the studio. Let's just put out one of the records and get the fuck on with it type of thing. One thing Metallica was not very good at that time was self-editing. So, you know, you'll write 27 songs. 27 songs goes on the fucking record. So there was no editing there like there is now. You know, maybe some of it could have been edited a little bit, but listen, you know, it is what it is. We did the best we could, and 14 went on Load, 13 went on Reload, and you know, I'm proud of those records. I'm as proud of those records as anybody else, any of the other records. And you know, some people say that Load is maybe not our finest moment. Some people say Reload's not our finest moment. If those two records are not our finest moment, I'll put those two records up against anybody else's not finest moment. And I think if that's your bottom, then I think we're in okay shape, because I think those are great records. When I hear them, I think the songs on there are great, and I'm as proud of that side of Metallica as any other side of Metallica. It wasn't so much a conscious decision to pay tribute. I think that we'd always paid tribute to those bands, and we'd always acknowledged how much those bands meant to us through the years. It was simply to get away. Load and Reload, or that experience was such a fucking monumental undertaking that we wanted to do something that was light, and was to go in the studio. We did all the songs on the first disc of the Garage Stations, 3 weeks from beginning to end. We were in and out, done in 3 weeks. And it was just fun. It was fun. And those were the songs that we wanted to play, and those were the songs that felt right and felt fun, you know what I mean? So there was no, it was really a kind of an exercise in doing something that was lighter and fun for us. And then obviously all the songs on the second disc were all the cover songs that we had already released over the years, you know. God bless Michael Kamen came to us with the suggestion of doing this symphony thing, and it obviously seemed like a great idea. We were very open to that, and it went well. It was fun, and we had a lot of interesting experiences with that, and again felt like we were kind of, this was just as like a lot of hip-hop stuff was happening, and a lot of your Corns and your Limp Bizkits and stuff were kind of doing their badass hip-hop stuff. We were off playing with a symphony orchestra. I thought that was always kind of fun. Everybody else was going further this way. We were like hanging out with symphony orchestras and stuff. That was kind of perverse wackiness in that. But it was definitely a cool time, and you know, God bless Michael Kamen for conceiving the whole thing. It was a pretty crazy year. I mean, listen, the 90s were crazy, and what you're talking about there with Jason leaving and James having to deal with his issues and stuff, I mean, that was a result of the craziness of the 90s. I mean, things couldn't get any bigger. Things couldn't get any, it was just, it was nonstop. It never got a chance to breathe. It never got a chance to come up for air. It never got a chance to rejuvenate itself. It was nonstop, and one day the whole thing just fucking broke down. You know, it's like a car that's driving 300 miles an hour. Sooner or later, it's gonna run out of juices, you know. And so it was a pretty crazy couple of years. But the good news is that we survived it. Now we're sitting here. So. Those were crazy days, but somehow we managed to get through it. On the other side of that was happy days, happy ending. The movie has a happy ending. We like happy endings in movies, and somehow we got through all that, and things continue to get better. Thankfully now, Some Kind of Monsters 6, 7 years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and Death Magnetic is here, and Rick Rubin is here, and then there's nothing but love and joy. It's almost Christmas time. You can almost feel it in the air. Rick's been a part of my life for 25 years. I've known Rick since the Slayer records back in the mid-'80s. So I always knew that we were going to make a record with Rick Rubin. It was just a matter of when. So when we decided to not make a record with Bob, we decided to make a record with Rick. There he was, like magic.
What don't kill you, make you more strong.
I think that's where we ended up, yeah. That's not quite where we started, but we sort of ended up there. Took a couple of years, a few turns, twists and turns, but we ended up there. That's at least seems to be one of the common denominators of reviews I read of our record, which is good and which is nice. There certainly, obviously, is a lot of love and goodwill for Metallica right now. It's a great time in this band. But it's difficult for me to kind of comment on. People say Metallica's back, and I'm not sure we ever went anywhere. But at least it doesn't feel to me like I ever went anywhere. But listen, I'll take the good with the bad. It's been 27 years of nuttiness, a lot of ups and downs. But right now, there's definitely an up moment happening, and everybody's smiling and happy, and so it's a good time to be in Metallica, and hopefully it'll stay that way for quite some time.